really feel, God bless us to really feel the energy of this Lion's Gate and understand it. Because every year, and I want you guys to just kind of like consciously understand that you've been hearing the number 8 for a minute here. And 8 is an infinite number. It's even shaped like my glasses. 8 is a number that helps us to see. What does it have to do with the Lion's Gate? Because on 8/8 every year, this is when the gates open up. The Lion's Gate, when you go and you look at the tribe of Judah, and the Lion's Gate is connected to the tribe of Judah because the lion is the king. It's not just in the earthly world, but in the spiritual world. And so then you ask yourself where all of that comes from. And we get answers as we grow and connect. And I did think about getting up and doing a discussion on it to put it on the other channel that I've had sitting there for a year, but also to dig in deeper because 888 adds to 16. No, 88 adds to 16, which is 7, which is an ending. In the moon class, I've been teaching about the 4th house on the natal chart being the end of the creation of spirituality and spiritual things. The 8th house or the 5th house, if you go from the ram to the 5th house, which is 1 ram to the sun, Leo, the 5th house. So we got 2 or 3 different type of calendars. I don't want to get into that, but we go by as human beings the Gregorian calendar, which is not, it doesn't illuminate a whole lot of information. So the Lion's Gate, it opens up a portal where all different type of things are coming down for people that have been practicing spirituality. If you connect the portal to what it is, which is the lion, the creativity of the lion, its entertainment, it has to do with generational descendancy. It can be clearing it, or people can be adding to the karmic value or disvalue, because behind the 5th house, what people don't know is that it deals with the generations. That's what I learned from a Indian guy that studies from their tradition. So here, when you look at, pull up the Venus star, just Google it. And then when you get it, let me know.
I've got it.
So a lot of people will talk about the abundance that it brings and all of that, but the Venus star on your phone, what does it look like? Show us.
Hold on, let me show you. Yes. 1 second. Share.
I like the interaction. Excuse me. Lord have mercy. So the Venus star has 5 points on it. And the star reminds you of the Star of David, which is connected to the tribe of Judah, right? You have to bring all of that in together and just begin to.
Can you see any of this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back.
You can just show your phone because there's 5 points on that star. And what people are going to do, I'm not teaching the Venus star class, but you can't understand the portal without this, because you've got places in your life that you have got to overcome that have to do with that star in order to become a star. Like one of the prophets I was listening to had said, I think his name is Prophet Lovey, giving credit to what he said, because I hadn't really heard anybody that can connect things the way that I do. Like the Star of Bethlehem, the three wise men followed it for a reason. So when you're thinking about the Lion's Gate, it's not just so simple that you're going to sit in the energy and oh my handorobo shikandarabasa. You're just not going to get the abundance that's due to you until you start looking at the Venus star. And the star has Aries at one point, and I think the Aries is at the top. Okay, good job. Okay, so here you have, okay, here is Aries 4. So this here in this chart is man. This is man and woman. The prophet that I was listening to was saying that whenever he sees a woman, there's always the moon. And whenever he sees a man, it's always a star. So we're just going to look at ourselves needing to develop this star. And see, here's the Lion's Gate right here at Leo. So you have the gates. And I've taught in my mental health classes that the gates of hell shall not prevail. Well, the reason why some gates prevail against people is because they use drugs and they induce the ability to go into spiritual realms that are not in their authority. So you got to get back to the place of your authority. Now, where does authority come in here? Authority comes in when I look at number 1, Gemini. I have to overcome all energies that deal with Gemini in a negative way. So if I'm a Gemini or North Node Gemini, I need to focus on not lying. I will bring all liars into my life and thieves, merchants, communication, community, short distance traveling, but it may not be good experiences in the Gemini area, right? Why? Because I have not raised my frequency to accept what the gates of God will give me, such as faith with Peter. Upon this rock I stand. You can have faith, but you might be operating in a lower energy of faith. So this is the beginning of where we're starting, per se, in our chart and in, like Larry Reed said today, the mansions or the portals, the doors opening up. The doors cannot open for good until you close the doors on the negative energies of Gemini. So what happens is when Mercury comes into retrograde at the end of this month, Mercury is going to be tracing back something about 60 days ago, I'm not sure when it was retrograde that happened. If you fall back into the trap, then you'll miss this part of your star being traced. You have got to complete this star, 5 points. This ain't even the Star of David yet. The Star of David has 6 points. So the relativeness, you can look up the scripture because the wise men followed the star to Jesus, which means that this is what they were following. They were following these energies right here, right? It can make it complicated, but we got our own star. So they were wise because they knew to follow the star. Now, when you're looking at each one, what I began to show Honora today is there was patterns for me in my life where I would see myself dealing with certain animals. Like there was a bear back about 18 or 20 years ago that I was battling with. And I believe that bear might be connected to the Orion star, but it's in the Bible. That bear is not per se on Honora's phone, but it's an energy that was trying to overtake me. All right. So moving on from there, to win it or to conquer it wasn't just for me to conquer someone, it was to conquer that energy within me. So was it a bear energy or animalistic energy within me? It could have been because I'm a Capricorn, so it's a beast. The bear is a beast. All right. So that meant that 18 or 20 years ago, it could have been when I came, or 25 years ago, I could have been coming into my unfoldment where I would conquer the beast within me, right? Because a bear is a beast. Now, the Aries is the ram, and if we keep going, I hope y'all getting it because I don't want to take away from the Leo. So about 5 years ago, I was seeing that I was in circumstances with Leos. It wasn't the people, but I kept seeing also that feline energy, the cat energy. And so I was connecting, I said, with Sirius and all of these other outside planets, you know? And what I saw then is that because there was some time back in my journey 20 years ago, I dreamt of the Star of David moving through my body as a cellular type of thing. It was just little cells just moving through my body. It was beautiful. I knew that I have some kind of connection with this Star of David, right? So then the consciousness begins to come in and it tells you, well, David was of the tribe of Judah, but there's a star also on top of Saturn's planet, right? So some people are like, what in the heck is this about? Well, it's all about the mystical properties of the individual and then realizing that things that they see is not elusive, but sometimes it's to bring you into a place of understanding how to overcome your past to move into your destiny. So all of these points, you have to see the energies and overcome them. That means that if you're having a problem with the earth sign, you need to understand what it's about. Like right now, Taurus can be the energy that I clash with, or I can just submit and say, you're right, even though you're not right, and let it be. Why? Because there's a humbling that takes place when you just let it go and let God deal with the situations, right? I hope y'all following it. Any questions before I go on?
No questions.
And the humility for me is, why should I argue with swine when I'm no longer swine? I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but I'm not right about everything. But one thing about an argument is it's take too much energy, and you can't prove people wrong who have, convinced themselves that they're right. So let's move on, because I got my star, and I want to shine, and I want to create in me a clean heart, so that when the lion gates come, the tribe of Judah will definitely, that energy will reign in me. So that means that, no, I'm not perfect, but there's a portal connected to the tribe of Judah, which has to do with the Lion's Gate. And the Lion's Gate has to do with the activation of spirituality. How can your spirituality be activated if you don't know about this here? And Nye wants me to teach on the venusstar, but this will be the time when I get into that. Not today, but soon. Because if you don't know about the venusstar, then you can't trace the actions to understand that you're undoing the beast in you, right? To come into the activation of the portals of cosmic awakening. I mean, Paul walked into an awakening blindsided. He lost his sight. Think about what that really is going to do to your body. And I'm not saying that it can't happen in this day, but if you understand what you have to undo, then that means that you can get through this process a little easier than Paul, because awakenings can kill people because they transform your whole DNA, your blood type, everything. It moves through your molecular body, the cells, and people are thinking that because they do rituals and cleansing that it's happening, but there's no ritual or cleansing that's going to work if you're not one with it. Any questions? So the lions, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say that makes sense.
And that is spirituality, period. So if the Lion's Gate is going to work for you, and if you hear people talking about the number 8, before the month of August comes up, you want to begin to just think and put that together, because what they're talking about is the manifestation month. Number 8. Even if you go back and I tell you, okay, 1 through 4 is the process of spirituality. You've been seeding when we do the moon classes and learning the process of what, the Lionsgate is really about. So what is the Lionsgate going to bring you? I'm sure it's going to bring you guys a lot of wonderful things because you've been working at it, right? And the thing is that 1 through 4 on the chart is no different than the calendar, the natal chart, the calendar. It's just that they changed the name because they didn't want us to know everything, right? So we're knowing it, our inheritance again, and get that inheritance. All these keywords, inheritance. It's not outside of you, it's inside of you. Everything that you need is not a cliche, it is inside of you. So you know your inheritance, you know that the kingdom of God is within you. So how are you going to get to the star of the king? The king is a part of the kingdom of Judah. He is a descendant from the kingdom of Judah. Therefore, the Lion's Gate is very much attached to the king. But if you don't know that you're a king or a queen, then you still are going to miss some parts of this gate. Like people are tired today because the energy is flowing in. It's been flowing in. Some people are going to act like beasts instead of children of the tribe of Judah. That's just a fact because the activation is going to either repel them or snare them. And when I say snare, it's going to pull them in. So let's look at the planet where the felines come from outside of the world. Somebody want to look that up besides me? I already know it. I brought up the planet already.
You said planets outside of the world that where the felines come from?
Comes from. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I already said it, but I just want you guys to search it out.
How would I'm not getting an answer with planets outside of the world where felines come from.
Okay, so look at the Lion's Gate planets. Look that up.
Okay. So I see the Lionsgate planet. Let's see. Am I looking for the image or am I looking for the actual planet?
The planet is Sirius.
Sun. Okay, the sun in Sirius. Okay, synchronized rising is now clearly visible, appearing as 2 suns in the sky. And that activates a gateway between the physical and spiritual worlds. So on August 8th, this powerful stargate reaches its peak position and Orion's belt moves into direct alignment with the pyramids of Giza, opening the cosmic 828 Lionsgate portal. The vortex allows supercharged light codes to flood our planet, so expect the following: higher conscious awareness, enhanced intuition and psychic abilities, unexpected endings and new beginnings, feeling awakened, energized, and in alignment. Seeing number sequences 1111, 333, 444, 888. I can tell you real quick, the 1111 I see every day. 333 every day. But 1111 I saw like while we were on the phone prior to getting on. That's just something that I always do. And then receiving prophetic messages through dreams, the ability to instantly manifest and alter your reality, frequent deja vu, synchronicities, and spiritual downloads, and unexpected transition and extremely positive transformation.
Okay, so
that was, and I can show you that here.
And I'm going to read to you what it says about the god Orion, because Orion is in the Bible, but it's connected to beasts, and you want to read that. You also want to read about Sirius, right? So it says the Greek mythology, Orion was a giant huntsman whom Zeus or Artemis placed among the stars as the constellation of Orion. And the thing about all of this is to remember that the Greek gods followed the Egyptians. And so if you can't get back to the Egyptian, uh, the research on Egyptians, then we miss a lot of truths because we've been living a lot of truths that they gave us, right? And I don't want to step on nobody's feet. I just want to get into the flow because it's a cosmic flow. And the flow, you know how it says the rivers of life. This is the cosmic flow. The cosmic flow actually created the waters in the earth. And the reason why we want to bring that up is because that's what this gate is doing. It doesn't just open tomorrow. It's already been oozing, you know, and that's why so many things are changing with people. Here you got, okay, Honora got the numbers up there. And some people began to awaken and use numbers. I have been seeing 1111 for the past 3 years, 4 years. It's a transformational number. It's my number and as well because my birth date is 11. I'm born under the number 7, which means my life path is always changing. I'm always coming to endings, but it's good because I get the new beginning. So here, do you want to add anything before I go on, Honora?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you'll probably get something. You're in a teacher mode today. I can tell your teacher is coming up. So here, listen to the names of these in Job 9 and 9. And you want to read that because that's what's going to put you up. You know, like the struggle for me listening to people say that this was witchcraft. People don't even know what craft we in now. So you better go with the craft of God and find out what that really is and stop being limited, right? So here, Job 9 and 9 says, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades the chambers of the south. And that means that Job is already giving information in the Old Testament about planets, right? You can go to Enoch and you'll hear he's the prophet, and he gives a great analogy of the planets. It's a book that is not in the Christian Bible, by the way, and they didn't canonize it for a reason. However, people will come up and say all these different things, but he was the first prophet there was that we could see beyond. Let me say that correctly. Adam and Eve were definitely prophets. You could see where they added and took away from what God's word was for them. But the thing is kind of like being able to bridge up to not just taking people's word for us, the Lion's Gate, but recognizing that it's in a word that you've been taught already. The number one factor is that it is the symbol of the tribe of Judah, the lion, but it's connected to Saturn because the Star of David is the other signature of the tribe of Judah. Y'all can correct me. And the star came out of the Saturnian energy because, number one, Saturn was taskmaster. It was and is about karma. Did you do it right or did you not? It is about those pharaohs. The thing about Moses is that Moses was able to follow God's direction to change destiny. Maybe it was during a time when this energy was flowing as well, meaning the energy of the Lion's Gate. Because at one point when David was born, you didn't have nothing but the Judah energy. So, these are things to think about. So here's another planet Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion? And Sirius A and Sirius B, you can study it and you can find it, but the factors behind the Lion's Gate are you accepting the abundant life? And I would say even that Christ has to give, because even when I pointed out Gemini, all of the energies on the chart in the calendar, they direct to planetary positions. Have you heightened your energy from the lower level into the higher level? As above, so below. What is as above and what is so below? When you look at the star that Honora put up, and you could Google it wherever you are, the star of Venus is going to always point to the same 5 planets because they create the Venus star. And Venus is about love. So in order for you to get abundance, you have to come into true love. And in this month, Venus, I think it's on the 11th, even though that moon in Aquarius is there, Venus and Leo are going to make a aspect to each other, which will create a lot of intense feelings of love. It may not be felt the way that it could be because of the full moon in Aquarius, but the fact of the matter is that when you start looking at 8/8 is every year. The other thing is important, that 8th month, which is actually the 5th month, or the 5th house on the calendar or on the natal chart, is where manifestations begin. Then you're going to always work in the first 4 months to get your seeds in properly and to pull up what's not effective. And even if no one ever taught about the Venus star, your house would be in order, because you would be getting things out of your life, out of you, that are not productive. Any questions? That's the
Yes.
landscape.
Sorry, what months were we supposed to be setting the seeds, or like you were just saying?
Your first that's going to be April, May, June, July. Those are the first 4 months that are spiritual, and you can see it even in Genesis. You can go back and forth to Genesis 1 and 2, and you're going to keep on teaching out of that, because everything that was created was spiritual. So after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, those 4 months, you go into the manifestation part, because you didn't plan it 4 months. You keep watering that, which means that you have to take your mind out of the world and what's happening in the world. Or, that's where weeds and stuff come up, because you thinking about stuff during your spiritual planting time. This time is where people are getting manifestations, whether they're good or bad. Because you planted
Gotcha.
something 4 months ago. Isn't that the same as the harvest?
Yes, it is. It is. I didn't realize that there was a time for spiritual, planting and weeding and whatnot.
So this manifestation month, it goes on for 4. And then it's also a part of harvesting. So you still got to gather in this time. So you got manifestation of things to come, like you're getting some words, you see some things happening. Because you want to look at, let's see, August, September, October, November. After November, when you follow the truth, the way the harvesting goes, now you done took up everything in this year. 4 months is coming. that's manifesting, and you're preparing for the winter in November, right? Yeah.
Right.
So you got all of your stuff in November that's going to carry you through until spring. And that is what the Lion's Gate is going to give you in your abundance, because it's just too much to say, oh, just abundance. We're just abundant. Oh, we're just, no. You better work, because you got to get rid of the beast of the field. They're not everyone else's. They're our beast. You know, I know that, you know, a lot of people never wanted to really subscribe to the fact that they had accountability, but the other part of being in the position is knowing that you had sickness that you believed in, and because you believed in it, you can't prosper. So what is the Lion's Gate doing for you? You think it's just going to push you through? By some chance it could, but everything ain't by chance, right? Even
That's
when you
right.
don't feel good, you got to say, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. Lord, help me. And he will come because you're calling him, right? You just can't sit there, oh, I'm dying. Oh, I retract that. But you got to be saying something, because his words powering your word. You can't wait for other people to do it. I mean, there's so many ways we can look at this, but the key is that while the gates are open, you're speaking and saying, thank you, even. Thank you. Because there's a shower of cosmic energy that's not just dealing with our flesh, but it's fortifying our spirit. Now, I always give the opposite end, because if it's going to fortify your spirit, then that means your spirit needs to get cleansed. Because all of this here, what some people are not teaching is the biblical part of the Lion's Gate. You can go to the scripture, the gates of hell shall not prevail. Why won't they prevail? Go there. Some of us have authority, and the only way that you can get authority is if you have connected to those stars and you've redone some things. You've changed your vibration, you've lifted up. It says, behold, whosoever of my church and endureth, okay, it says, behold, whosoever of my church and endureth of my church to the end, him will I establish upon my rock, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. That's one. Here in Matthew 16:17-9, it says, and Jesus answered him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. I will give you the keys. This is very important to the kingdom. A lot of people don't know what the keys are, and I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth, it shall be bound. And I just brought it up because I said, when you put the star up, you have got to come out of the lowness of the Gemini energy. You can't be a thief no more. In order to be a gatekeeper, what you keeping? You think you just keeping the gate on the earth? No, you keeping the gates of heaven. Because you cannot go into heaven if you raising hell. I don't care what nobody say. That means that we begin to teach heavenly things. How do you get into the energy of the Lion's Gate? You begin to release your hellish ways. Because the Lion's Gate is about the tribe of Judah. It's also about feminine energy that has been a secret that nobody wanted to talk about. Because cats represent femininity. The feline energy, that's a little bit deeper. But anyway, if infinity is the same shape of my glasses, then that means that there is the yin and the yang. You see? Yeah. Yin yang, man, woman. That means that honestly, we are one. They're not broke, they are one. The 8 cannot be broken, it's an infinite number. The keys of the kingdom. The keys of the kingdom is what David talked about. Jesus went to hell to get the keys. What was it that these keys represented? Mysteries. Mysteries that people don't know about. Mysteries to the kingdom. The kingdom can only come into the earth through the body of a man or woman, a vehicle. And the kingdom was represented, number one, by David's building of the church to begin with in the Old Testament. The kingdom of God. He didn't get to build it, his son Solomon did. And Solomon had wisdom that goes beyond what people are telling others, right? So moving on, are there any questions? Because I really didn't want this to get long. Did you guys get anything out of it?
Absolutely, we got something from it.
Okay.
So now with all of this, what would be 3 key things to do tomorrow or to prepare
Today,
for tomorrow? Right.
I think that you should focus on your abundance and continue moving in the flow of what you've been doing. I don't think that there's anything in particular that you all haven't been doing. For someone that hasn't been practicing, the number one thing I would say is identify with the lower energies within you and release them. If it's anger, bitterness, judgment, blaming others, that I would work on releasing that from this day on, because that's where a lot of the confusion comes with these energies, especially pivotal energies such as a portal opening up. Because that portal, when you talk about the gates of hell shall not prevail, they will prevail with those that are angry and bitter. They can also cause sickness. So you want to release those things. And this is all spiritual teaching. It's all teaching that's been in the church. The Lion's Gate is a spiritual experience. It's not an experience that we don't get every year. It's just that some people are awakening more and they have their process of thinking. I believe that you want to practice creating. You want to see your life differently in your mind's eye than you've seen it outside of yourself. The third thing, because I think I have pretty much said 3 things, but you want to practice, or this is going to be 4, because you're going to release old habits, old things. You're going to release blaming people and take accountability for yourself. And you're going to look at life from within you. If it looks dark, to begin with, you start writing within yourself and drawing. I was talking to someone yesterday and saying, find yourself as a whiteboard and begin to create pictures of who you are inside of you. And then you can say, the Lion's Gate is prosperity. I do think that I want to add, like last night, I had a headache and the day before, and I think that it's a part of it. The energy is subduing. It's making people slow down. But it's also a mixture of other energies. It's making people think. But what are you thinking is key. Any questions? I hope it helps.
I think it does.
It's not consciousness or unconsciousness. It's all about bringing the consciousness forward. So it's just number one, being honest with yourself and saying, am I really drawing the Star of David? Am I really a part of the tribe of Judah? How can I get in? Because everyone in Christianity is really supposed to be a part of tribe of Judah. And with the Lion's Gate, that's part of the insignia. The star, the lion, Sirius, the star. You just read it. When you go back and you listen to this, because I'm gonna put this on the whatchamacallit for anyone to listen to, you get a lot of information that's gonna connect with things that you thought before. I'm not the only person that knows this stuff. It's just maybe because I've been sitting down, relaxing, I feel comfortable with, and then Honora badgered me to do this. So I feel comfortable, and I do know there's more to come in it. But you could be having sinus problems. You could be having pressure. She's laughing. Yes. And it's just a time to rest and drink a lot of water. Maybe some of you will put a little lemon in your water because it will detox you.
I just bought a whole 5-pound bag of lemons. What was it, yesterday or the day before? I felt like I was going to need it, and I felt like I needed to put it in my water.
Yeah. So that's what I have. God bless everybody.
Thank you for that. Alana said in the chat that she heard that tomorrow would be a good day to fast.
So yeah, good job. Tell her thank you that you just announced it in the recording. Okay.
Right. I wasn't sure if
that's true. It's always when you get energies like this, it's always good to eat less.
Okay. I was going to say, I wasn't sure if it was a certain part of the day or the entire day or what.
I think I've only had 2 pieces of toast. I haven't had an appetite. It wasn't like it was last week because my appetite was big last week.
That's how mine was. Mine was like that last week. And but for the last, I would say, few days, I haven't felt the need. I haven't felt the want to eat. So I've been making it to the late afternoon, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm about to start giving myself a headache. Let me get something light.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing wraps, with romaine lettuce, and just making wraps with I did a turkey salad that I did for protein,
So here you have a literal purge for yourself, fasting. You're already fasting.
Right. I think I'm doing I inadvertently jumped into that intermittent fasting where it's 16 hours you're fasting and 8 hours you're not.